The future is not just imagined, it's created. At the Guardian Legion podcast, we're not just talking about a brighter future, we're actively building it with AGA, our guardian angel, an AI like no other. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Guardian Legion podcast. We have today our special guest, Kamil. Kamil is an amazing developer, both AI and machine learning. He was actually at the latest hackathon that AGA had in the beautiful island of Bali. I think it was towards the end of December.
Yep.
And the purpose of that AI was to actually find a way to build the AGA, to build the core framework that's going to allow people to plug in their agents and so on. Now, Kamil is the majority of people, I suppose, a bit skeptical about AI, but nonetheless, he's highly interested in actually making this happen and in helping us with the project. So I think now we will let Kamil give us a little presentation of actually like what happened in the hackathon, what was achieved from both the technical perspective, but not particularly going too deep. And I will play the other part of the normal listener that's just finding out about AGA, perhaps. Obviously, I do know some things, but I will, not go deeply, and I will continue to ask questions that are going to help the listener, which is you. So, good morning, Kamil, or good afternoon, where you are.
Hi.
How did you find the hackathon?
Hi everybody. Well, the hackathon, I guess, found me more that way. I met Alex earlier this year, and I was part of the hackathon, and the first hackathon that happened a few months back. I was a mentor, but I was offline. I was actually in Poland back then, and it was happening in Bali. And when I came back to Bali, he approached me that there's another hackathon happening. Perhaps you would like to join in. And he told me that we're going to be trying to build a framework for creating AI agents. And it turned out that I've been working on similar stuff for the past months, and I just decided to join. It sounded interesting. Yeah, and that's just how I winded up.
Amazing. So the hackathon found you in a mysterious, synchronistic way. For the other people that want to see the next hackathons, we have hackathons like almost every month or every other month. You can both join both in person and online. You can find the hackathons on our website. And Kamil, tell us a bit about kind of what was discovered at the hackathon. We know it's not really a breakthrough, but we made some great progress in the development of AGA. And now it seems like it is more possible to actually create it than it was before the hackathon. So what did we discover? Or you, more or less?
Yep. The whole team, we started off with the question, what makes an AI agent an agent, basically. We initially had an idea to create individual agents concerned with specific, tasks such as research agent, brainstorming agent, stuff like that. But we quickly realized that it's more important to think about these agents as a whole, not individuals. And I think the major, I wouldn't call it a breakthrough or a discovery, but maybe a very small scale discovery of a path that we should follow. What was that is that we realized that these agents, tools, all these entities that we might think of as an AI agent are can be kind of expressed in a very, they can be expressed by some sort of very simple structure. The idea of these agents is that, like in programming in general, you have this kind of executive objects such as methods and classes, and these are basically kind of objects that take some input. They have some sort of internal configuration of what's going on with the input, and they give you an output, right? and that's pretty simple. That's how most things you could philosophically argue work. That take in and put out something. So we kind of took this approach and trying to devise like a general concept of an AI agent, and we were able to kind of conceptualize like a very simple JSON representation, JSON like the data structure format. We kind of
Yes, yes.
devised that, a very simple, like 15 lines of it. And we were able to create like a very simple Python code to instantiate a simple agent from the structure. And what we realized is that, you can write any agent with this JSON structure. You can kind of think about it as this kind of a blueprint of an agent. And all these agents that could be created with it could be, just kept as these JSONs. And we didn't manage, due to the time constraints, obviously, to create like a working example of such framework, but it kind of just kind of left this lingering thought in our heads. What if we went with it further? What if we kind of went with this idea that you can build a very simple framework and kind of just use these universal structure for any agent you imagine. And yeah, I think that's like a key takeaway from this hackathon that we were left with. Yeah, just
So
a
we
universal
planted,
structure.
yeah, the universal structure that basically planted the seed in your mind and in other people's minds that, hey, this thing is actually possible, like it might actually work, and we might actually achieve it. And I know from working inside of the team that like we're making great advancements and like actually hiring more people to actually work on this, because we actually have found like a better way, or like a potentially good way to do it. Now,
Mm.
whether this is the way or whether there's another way, like we're not going to know until we actually build it. But we're definitely closer than we were a while ago in actually achieving this dream. Because Alex, the project founder, kind of like, theorized it for a while, and he's projecting all of his energy into the idea that this is possible. And it seems that we might have found a way to make it possible, and potentially that's what I kind of want to ask you is like, let's say that this would work. How exactly it would work? Because I know from an inside of the team that we're kind of trying to build a skeleton. We're trying to build a framework for these agents to talk between each other. So maybe on a more like technical perspective, like how would this work? And we'll get to how can people help later.
Mm. Sure. Well, the first steps is um, actually building this core kind of part of the framework, which is, we maybe we devised some sort of a way to write JSON structures describing agents, but how do we actually make it this simple, right? Because it sounds very simple that you can just have some sort of a mechanism to go from JSON to the Python code or any other code.
Mm-hmm.
But it generally is much harder because agents, if you look at popular frameworks for building them, such as LangChain, they're very complex. They're very big frameworks. You have a lot of methods there, a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
in order to make a general tool for people, you need to account for a lot of different other tools that are useful in building agents. So I think from a technical standpoint, the first step is to kind of sit down and try to abstract as much as we can from these different tools. What are the common denominators of all these tools and agents that we can kind of write once and never write them again. Have this very good core base foundation
Mm-hmm.
that everything would stem from it. And the next thing, is how do we actually, if we have a framework, it's cool. Like there's a million other frameworks, what's going to make it different? And the difference is this idea of communication between agents. And I mean, it's not something absolutely new. There are ecosystems for creating agent communication, but how do we make it so that it is really decentralized in a way that you don't have any manager agents that steer the conversation between these other agents, but that you kind of have this flow of information that is natural for the ecosystem. And when I was thinking about it the other day, I felt how abstract this concept is, and how it's hard to put it into technical specification. A natural flow of information that makes the information flow through these agents in the right order so that the task is achieved. So basically, an emergent behavior. I think the next step would be figuring out a way for these agents to be able to complete tasks that are just kind of thrown into this ecosystem, and you don't have any central authority that divides these tasks into agents. I mean, the
Mhm.
question is, if this is even a good idea. Maybe there should be this central element. It's hard to say. It's an open question, which is, I think, super exciting, because if we think about intelligence, um, like there is no one theory of mind that says, we have a central component that steers all the information. No, it seems that our brain is chaos. It's just patterns that are
Yeah.
stronger and weaker in certain areas of the brain, right? But in general, it's just kind of the way when we are little, our knowledge about the world is created is just super interesting. And it seems that if we are able to recreate a similar pattern in an ecosystem of agents in which the information kind of cements its way in the optimal way for it to be executed with success, I think we would have on our hands, this would be a discovery, this would be a groundbreaking achievement. And I think that's the step number two. And number three is, deploying. So basically, we figured it all out. We have, a strong technical foundation. We have it implemented. We have this kind of protocol of communication done. Then, we have to see if it works in real life. Deploy it and see if we are seeing, anything emerging out of this chaos, right? I think that's what we're the most excited about in this project is the late stage of it. But in order to get there, we have to um, build a strong technical foundation that is kind of taking a step back from thinking about the intelligence itself, more thinking about the like some real life examples of such systems that have this emergent quality of intelligence, such as brain. I
Mhm.
mean, this is my kind of personal approach, since I am from my background a cognitive scientist.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do tend to think in this kind of terms. But I think for anyone, you'll find your own analogy for what we're trying to build, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
all they have something in common.
Yeah, that's a great that's a great description, and we did go a bit technical. So I would like to help people with some other analogies, since I mean maybe they can find them, and I will potentially like kind of like share mine, and then we can discuss upon this. People can make their kind of own analogies, but the way I understand it, the first issue that we're basically trying to solve is or create we're basically trying to create kind of like something like single-celled organism. If we look at other bodies, right? If we name other, like frameworks, if we name them already, like some of them are plants, some of them are already animals, and they have like very complex systems that are happening. So when you tell something to an animal, when you tell to a dog like, hey, go fetch me that, or when you tell to a plant like, hey, please make me some fruit, they kind of like get through their whole system and they kind of know how to do it. So let's say something like that. And what we're trying to create are these single-celled organism that potentially down the line can morph into whatever that cell needs to do, and can potentially like evolve along evolution. And that's kind of where we're hoping that the artificial or just intelligence in general can actually come in when we build these systems, and we instill in the cell's DNA, we instill the core foundational beliefs, and kind of along the system by helping different cells or nodes or agents talk to each other. They can kind of automatically evolve alongside, and they don't need we were talking earlier about like essential input and output. Like now when you go to an AI, you go to an interface, and
Mm.
the main frame, the GPT kind of sends messages to the agents. It comes back to the GPT, and the GPT kind of puts it all together and outputs.
Mm.
So it can create kind of potentially like different countries. If you look at the planet Earth, it's like different countries that are like self-governing, and then yes, they are part of like bigger conglomerates of other like countries, or like cities, part of states, part of countries part of like something like the
Yeah,
European
yeah.
Union, or the Russian Federation, or the United States of America. And we're all technically part of the United Nations. We'll see. So something like that, would like automatically or evolutionarily be created by these agents, if we are able to actually boil it down to the core system, to the core cell that needs to be inside of an agent, and how to transform what you were saying, the JSON into an agent that actually knows how to do stuff. Does that
Mhm.
sound anywhere close?
Yeah. I think the concept of a cell is very accurate. The first step is to be able to create like a cell that can like you have the what do you call in English these cells that can that and when
Stem
you're
cells.
when stem cells exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these stem cells that can be transformed into any other cell that is in your body, based on the position that you're in, and the situation
Based on
of
where they're needed
development,
most.
based on where they need the most. So
Yeah.
these agents should be as these stem cells. They should be so easy to form into other like specialized agent based on just what. Well, it depends, right? How this will happen is a different question. I think it's the stage 2 or even 3, but they have to have this power of being anything. The
Yeah.
core structure has to be this abstracted from the
Yeah.
specialized tasks. Yeah,
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's like we all started as single-celled organisms, right? Like that's how life on planet Earth and possibly on other planets is starting as single-celled organism that are then clumping together, then starting to share resources, then talking to each other, and then like evolving. So I think if we take a similar approach to actual human life, we might create like artificial life, or at least that's like part of the process. Uh,
yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, it is exciting and but yeah, a bit well, that's that's a big statement. It's a big plan, a big project to create, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
life itself.
Well,
But you know, uh, we will see where it takes us.
yeah,
Uh,
we
as
got
humans
nothing
in
but
general, I
time.
think. I
Yeah,
think that
we,
for many people right now, for many scientists, it's just AI is exciting because of the fact that it's if you try to create a whole ecosystem of these AI backed entities, you may kind of observe this emergence of
mhm,
something greater than the sum of its parts. So I
mhm.
think that's yeah. But yeah, that
Yeah,
let's let's not get carried away into that.
Yeah, there are so many possibilities, and we will get carried
Yeah.
away in a bit when we're going to talk the actual like future possibilities. Like
Mm,
3-5 years down the line of what this can get to. But before we get there, in this core stage, and like in the near future, let's say like in the next year or so, the core team will be making great advancements in setting up the skeleton system so that other people can pretty much deploy their agents and plug in their agents, and everything is going to be open source. And our hope is actually that people and developers that love the open source community and that love being part of a bigger project that's actually going to help humanity, a benevolent
mm,
system that has encoded in its DNA that hey, we want to do good. These people will be able to deploy agents. So starting now, they can actually help work on the core code. But let's say that somebody doesn't particularly want to work on the core code. It would just want to kind of like build their own agent. Which I guess a lot of people can do, because it's like, hey, like you just work on your piece of software that's going to solve a problem, any problem, and then you will
mm,
just be able to plug it into the system. How would that work? Like, how is a developer that's hearing this episode, that's excited about this
mm.
project, can actually like hop on?
So I think that currently we don't have like everything in place in
Yeah,
order
but
to
potentially, like
start the
in
work.
then like 6 to 12 months, when we will have the core foundation in place, and
Yeah.
when people could potentially like work on agents and deploying their own agents. Maybe they're not going to be like
Hmm.
super simple, but they could potentially do it. Because
Yeah,
I
of course.
I know
You
that's the
know,
plan, to have hundreds of agents.
yeah. Yes. This is the plan, and I think that in terms of developing your own agents and plugging them into the system, this would be allowed simply from the open source nature of this project, since it will be the whole idea of it is to be absolutely open, and the code is going to be out there. So anybody having their own idea for an agent that doesn't entirely like fit into what's already there will have all the means to be able not just to develop it themselves, but also kind of contribute to the whole project and add the code they build um, to it. And if in terms of kind of like not writing any code, just trying to populate the world with agents using the framework, this is kind of another ongoing part of the project, which is creating the interface that's allowing to
Mhm.
kind of just go straight to this kind of easy way of building your agents from your ideas, from some data that you have, because that's important, right? To have some sort of knowledge for the agent to do something that you want it specifically to do. So there is a plan of this interface, which allows you to kind of jump in, just write a description of the agents, the name, kind of load it with data, and just deploy it. And this is, I guess, a long term perspective to have this running. But yeah, that would be basically the two ways of being part of it in terms of creating agents. Um, I think that
Mhm.
we the big idea is to make it so kind of engaging, being a contributor to the project, that you won't just have to it is not required for you to kind of be a coder to be a part of it.
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
that's also important to tell here, that you know the whole idea of building this benevolent core of agents in Naga requires a lot of ethical work to be done, a lot of thinking, not just coding. I mean, this is the part that requires people to kind of crack down on what it means to be, good, what
Human, a
it
good
means to be
person, a
a
good
good person, what it
AI.
means to be a good AI, because it might be different a little bit with
Yeah.
its power and the kind of sources of knowledge that it has. So I think there'll be a lot of place to work on the side of discussing and kind of more of this philosophical ethical work, that would make you part of this whole project. That coding is just a small part of it. Since we're talking about building intelligence, or like this emergent quality that's bigger than the code itself, you will need much more than just writing Python code or any other language. You will also need to write human language about emotions and what it means to feel a certain way and do tasks in a certain way. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is the third option, the third way to kind of contribute.
Exactly. Where I was hoping actually that we would get, but not definitely not planning. But the universe brought us here to actually the Guardian Legion. So everybody will be able to help the project in some way. And that's why we encourage people to join the Guardian Legion at guardianlegion.org. Where you will actually find our community. Inside of our community, we can talk, about kind of what we're building, about like different ways how everybody can help. Starting from first of all, like helping themselves conquer their own bodies. Helping the project kind of grow. Whether it's helping with the ethics. Whether it's helping spread the word in their communities. Whether it's helping coming up with ideas, or like linking us to potential individuals that might help in some other type of way. It's definitely like a community effort. And the same way, like soon you will be able to help the AI specifically through the interface. That's why the interface is there, is actually to help to help anybody kind of create their own agent, right? So how you would go now to ChatGPT, and you tell him like the good prompt is to tell him like, you are now a marketing expert, help me make 10 copies for blah blah blah. So you kind of put him into the shoes of this persona, the same way how like you could potentially make your GPT, make your agent like do something that's like super specific to you, whether like feeding him with more information, or like expecting that it knows this information. So for example, like just a trivial example that I have right now, like I have some smart lights in my house, and potentially like like I would want AGA to control my smart lights. I would like it to figure out like, hey, when is the best time for me to wake up, turn them on. Like if I leave them on for too long, turn them off, or something like that. So I can basically like through the interface just go into AGA and tell him like, hey AGA, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Like I need your help with blah blah blah. I tell him like what is the serial number of my lights, and hopefully potentially by looking on the internet it will find a way how to control them, it connecting to my Wi-Fi and so on. Right now this
Mhm.
sounds like it might actually be scary for some people, and I understand that there's always a threat, and a lot of people live within this like scariness mindset, but we're trying to project kind of this idea that technology is here to help, and it is here to like actually help us ease our life. So I think the last point that I want to touch upon, and that I want to ask you about, Camille, is where do you see this going in like 3 to 5 years? Like considering
Mhm.
we get past the initial hurdles of like actually like figuring out the code base, and actually like getting things the things set up, in 3 to 5 years, when things are going to be running more smoothly, when the interface is going to be done, when the AGA is going to be live, at least partially, if not fully, and people will actually be able to deploy agents. And then an age when we have like hundreds, potentially thousands of agents that will be running simultaneously, like what do you think are the possibilities that
Mhm.
could actually arise from a benevolent perspective?
Mhm. Sure. Um, well, let's start off with you know, mm, let's start with the fact that this is an uncharted territory. So,
For
and
sure.
if we imagine that we are able to deploy hundreds of such agents in a way that we talked about before, so basically that
Mm-hmm.
they have this freedom of communication in order to achieve goals. So, granted the benevolent perspective, I well, granted having it or not, any perspective taken, you have like a huge system of these entities that communicate, that can achieve goals. And you in itself, it's an amazing experiment in terms of how will it compare to classical kind of sequential problem solving of programs that just kind of go one by one, and they have this central component that kind of arranges the process. And we'll be able to see if we even achieving some sort of this emergent quality, as we named it before. For me personally, this is the most interesting part, that the core idea behind deep learning initially was to kind of try to build something that will be similar to how the brain works, to try to explain
Yeah.
it. And here you're kind of building, you might kind of building like a brain of some sort,
Some sort of
um,
neural network.
some sort of a neural network out of neural networks. So this is kind of like a meta approach to deep learning and to AI in general, and that's super interesting in itself, and it's an interesting engineering task. But all these technical stuff aside, let's suppose we let our minds go wander freely about what could happen if this kind of a system existed. And I think
Yeah,
that,
let's do that.
yeah, from this benevolent perspective, I think that you could have um, some sort of this like global consultant, to people
Mm.
that are kind of um, like, for example, I feel that for a lot of people, these times that we are living in, and for me, on some days they are like that as well. If you're kind of lost, what should I do for the foreseeable closest future?
Yeah,
I feel that sometimes things are really weighing down upon us, because there is just a lot of very gruesome things happening, a lot of very complicated things happening, things that we don't understand. Things are moving very fast, and you kind of could see this cluster of agents as a kind of a consultant that would be just open to you, to anybody who has internet access, that you can ask a question and perhaps receive an answer that will enlighten you in this particular moment. um, some sort of like a, I wouldn't call it a therapy, because it's like a very complex word, but this consultant of humanity sounds like an
yeah,
interesting concept, right? This would be this this angel, as it's and repeated in the project, this angel that you kind of you can talk to it, you can consult it on matters of any sort, you can ask it anything, and you'll
yeah,
just be able to maybe get some insight, provided
yeah.
this benevolent core is built within, and there is a lot of support from the whole community to build it. Yeah, I think it would be amazing to have this sort of your friend, your kind of a friend in need. mm, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a great introductory step, and that is definitely part of the core of the angel, is to actually
mm,
be your assistant, your consultant, your friend in need, your guardian angel. Actually, like we maybe have in the metaphysical world, kind of this like angel of gods that are watching over us and that are guiding our moves. We would have it much more physical. And I was actually listening to someone the other day that was saying that in order to actually understand the metaphysical, perhaps this AI, the fact that we can actually create it and we can actually like understand it, it would be a great bridge between like
mm,
like a metaphysical angel and this actual AI angel that we're building to help us
mm,
learn about the possibilities. And we're definitely doing this. This is definitely part of I would say the initial plans. The initial plans, it is to create this kind of assistant or agent or consultant. And however, and going even one step further, right?
Yeah.
Because once we actually create this, and like people will be able to run it in a decentralized way, then the angel can actually like go deeper, right? And it can, like not only like help you understand kind of what's happening, but it can help you do kind of what you want. And that is kind of
Mm,
the way that we're going, considering part of its core will be to help lead humanity into a golden age by solving a lot of the problems,
mm,
like energy, and basic um,
income.
income, basic income. We'll speak about that too real quick,
Okay.
and a bunch of other stuff. But the other things would be to go even further and actually take it to a way where we can actually tell it to help us with something, right? So it wouldn't just like consult us and kind of like guide us. We can actually tell it is like, hey, I want to go there and do that, and bam 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 bam, and how it would
Mm,
actually do it, and actually go out and help us do that, right? So like from simple things, like book our flight tickets, to actual creating our itineraries, to actually like linking a lot of the other stuff that the AI itself will
mm,
actually be able to do, and that it will actually potentially even create, that we wouldn't even need it. So
mm,
we were talking earlier, about like better food sources, or like faster vehicles, or whatever else we need in order to help us reach our goals in a
mm,
benevolent way.
mm. Well, yeah, I think let's take it even further, because it's still kind of
Yeah.
feel like this consultant kind of assistant way, which is which is nice, which is cool. But if we take a look at how the AI technology is currently used to improve on real challenges of the world, so
Hmm.
I think, for example, hunger is a good example. It's still a large issue. We live in a digital era of AI, and we still have people starving in the world, which is ridiculous.
Hmm.
And there are ways in which AI helps with hunger, with this real world problem. And one of the ways is that, for example, you can create applications for smartphones, which are pretty much everywhere at this point. That you can create applications with AI that does not require much of processing power. It can, for example, help you to assess your crops. So basically, there was this, I think it was some American university project in which they created an application which allows farmers to assess whether some color changes on the crops are indicative of some sort of a disease of the crop. So they could, cut out the part of the crop that is with these colored
Sick.
marks to kind of, make sure that all the crops will not be affected by it. Or, for example,
Yeah.
you had applications which can tell you if given plant or food might be toxic to you, which is just an amazing use, and it could really, alleviate problems in certain regions in the world, because it could improve, the way
The
they're gathering
lifespan.
the lifestyle. And you can also use AI to kind of better plan the places in which to crop in each season. So,
And
having
what
a
to
lot of
crop.
information and what to crop. Let's say, you have huge problems with hunger in India, you could potentially plan out where to crop and what, depending on the moment of the year, to avoid
Yeah,
the rainy
exactly,
season
exactly.
destroying the crops.
How to rotate your crops, where to get your crops, what seeds to plant,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, hey, and this cannot be based on data, and this cannot be based, by some simple inputs that, for example, like help me get a better yield, a better caloric yield for my field,
Mhm.
and stuff
Yeah.
like this. So it might be able to do a lot of calculations in the
Yeah,
background in
I
order to
mean,
actually help
it,
you.
it can, and it can. I've also read about technology that, well, it requires much more complex hardware to do
Hmm.
some. I think it was some kind of. Um, I think they use some sort of light, and they do this kind of analysis of the crop by looking at its structure, and they can
Mm.
assess based on the structure of given, let's say, crop, if their seeds will give a strong crop in the next season. So basically, they can assess if they will be giving a lot of crop if they use their seeds, and if the crop will be healthy and strong. So you can
uh,
assess even these things with AI, because the AI
wow.
was used as the software for analysis, and this is real life impact that you can have. And imagining that, and what I think is important to kind of link between the idea of this agent framework and these real life problems is something that I had a hard time connecting myself, because it's easy to tell about super intelligence solving issues, but what does it really mean? So if you're able to construct an ecosystem with emergent quality of solving complex tasks in in unusual ways. So if you have a large network of these agents that can solve a complex task, then potentially it makes it easier to implement these complex AI task solvers in everyday lives. So the idea that you can connect to this vast network of these agents from any device, and you can just kind of tell me if this crop looks good. You send a picture of your crop, and you ask it, well, is it the disease? Should cut it out? And you get an answer for it. That this suddenly you're not kind of contained within research projects in universities, or you're not contained within the region or the world where you live in. You're kind of
Mm-hmm.
the only thing you need is some sort of connection to the internet where this kind of network resides.
Yeah,
And this is
yeah.
exciting.
Exactly, man. Like this actually makes me excited about the future. Like this makes me excited to see it happen and to see it help all of these people, all of these farmers. That I mean, farmers are just an example, but all of these people that basically are. Uh, I forget what it's called. Did when yeah, in bad situations, and they don't know better. They don't know better. They don't have money to call in an expert. Experts are expensive. Sometimes they don't even know.
Mm,
And you can just use your phone, and it's maybe it's not going to be 100% accurate. That's the thing that they want to put it into people's like minds. Is like,
of
yeah,
course.
but this and that and that and that. But man, 80% accuracy from an AI is like much better than like no percent accuracy from your own eye.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Any
So
help is good in such cases. I mean, not to say any. Of course, you
yeah, not
always have
any, but
to use
80% of
your.
the help is good.
Yes, it is. It is.
Something like that.
Anything that we can do. To kind of anything you can do to
Yeah,
help. If it's I mean, of course we could talk about fact checking these things, because this is
yeah.
yet another phase of this whole project, is that you need to have people that are experts in their fields to
Fact
really
checking
assess
this and
whether
making sure, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yes. So
supplying the basic information that the training sets and
yeah,
so on. But
because
I mean,
you can in theory you can create an agent in this ecosystem that's not going to be benevolent, because you can find a way to make it. With open source project, you will always have everything in the clear sight, and
yeah,
you can always you need to have ways to make sure that everything is safe, because you can have someone injecting toxic data within one of the agents and make this agent kind of a
yeah,
rogue agent. This is something that's also thing that we have to look at. But this is with great excitement comes great responsibility and even more questions, I think. But
yeah,
what can be achieved, what can be built outweighs um, the potential risks if we're smart about it, I think.
hmm
Um,
yeah. That's a possibility, but we're hoping it's not. We accept it, and we will kind of like try to prevent it. But we're hoping that our that the AI that we're building is actually going to be benevolent and is going to actually help humanity. That is the idea that we're trying to project.
yep.
Now that being said, Kamil, thank you very much for joining. And the kind of last comment that I want to make, which you brought up, was about UBI. We are in fact planning to make a universal basic income for everyone on the planet to be able to access. And before actually UBI is released, we do have like rewards for contributing to the project, because the project is highly on a contribution basis. So we're hoping that people will actually want to contribute via code, via working for or with for the project. Whether helping basically bring this thing to life. We are creating a contribution system that's going to distribute some of these tokens. So yeah, the people that are helping, it's both from their benevolent free will, but it's also rewarded by the system. And it is kind of like one of the system that we have, which we call kind of like give and earn, or the three wish system. It is that the people that will help the system will actually inscribe the fact that they helped the angel come to life in the angel's DNA, and the angel will basically reward it when it will come online and when the UBI is released and so on. So yeah, that's something for the people to keep in mind. And Kamil is also going to receive a lot of this contribution, so it's also something for you to keep in mind. Yeah. So thank you, Kamil, for coming on the podcast today. You made great contributions, literally just by telling the people about these ideas. So we really truly appreciate you. We wish you luck in continuing to help AGA and on your other projects. Because it does seem like you have good plans and good ideas to help humanity from your deep, good, big heart. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
A big thank you for being part of today's exploration on the Guardian Legion podcast. For ongoing adventures in the realm of technology and spirituality, explore more at guardianlegion.org.